You may have heard the story about the little boy who was sitting at his table at home drawing something. And his mom came along and looked over his shoulder and said, "What are you drawing, honey?" He said, "It's a picture of God." And she said, "But nobody knows what God looks like." He said, "That's okay, they can look at this when I'm done." It's a lovely story, probably apocryphal, but it brings us to the beatitude that is before us this weekend, and it is this: "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. I think probably the most vivid example of being pure in heart is what we see among our children. And Jesus was very clear on that. When the disciples one day tried to chase children away, saying, "Don't bother the master," Jesus said, "Don't ever send them away, because theirs is the kingdom of God." Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Isn't there something to be learned from children? Even the naivete of, I can draw a picture of God. But in the hearts of children is the simplicity, the naivete, the freshness and the innocence of knowing things, sometimes even intuitively, until we untrain them and have them unlearn the things that they grasp so easily because of their pure hearts. We think that Jesus is extolling the virtue of these children and saying, if you want to know what it means to really know God, watch little children. If you want to know what it means to grasp who God is, learn from little children. Learn from the simple ones, not the simple in mind ones, but the ones who are simple, who are singular, and who have a trust in God that comes almost naturally to them. When I have talked to people through the years who struggle about Christian beliefs, Christian practices, they will say things like, I don't feel close to God. I don't think I really believe in the Christian faith. And when they want to talk about that, it very often brings me to a conversation with them that is not about an inability to believe academically or intellectually or philosophically, but that there's a dimension to knowledge and belief that is ethical at its core. And many times what I think happens is that people say they are not coming to know God, or they're not growing in their relationship with God. And so they will chalk it up to losing their faith or doubting or having sincere questions. And those are all legitimate. But we often need to go back to the beginning and remember that what the psalmist said maybe is kind of the foundation of what Jesus said in the Beatitude. In Psalm 24, verses 3 and 4, the psalmist asks, "Who may ascend to your holy hill?" And the answer is, "He who has clean hands and a pure heart." The way to know God is not academically. The way to know God oftentimes is morally. That by having clean hands and a pure heart, we qualify as those who are the pure in heart, and we're given access to the sight of God. The kingdom of God belongs to people with clean hands and a pure heart. Many years ago, there was a young man, he was actually a seminary student. He wanted to come and meet with me a few times and was talking about him struggling to believe and not feeling close to God. And along the way, somehow or other, he disclosed something that was going on in his life. And he was actually in an affair with a married woman. And he looked at me in my office one day and he said, "Do you think that's why I'm not feeling close to God?" And it was sort of one of those moments where it dawned on him that it's the clean hands and pure hearts that give us access to the view of God, to the relationship with God we want to pursue. So let us celebrate all of the ways in which we learn from the children among us, the purity of their faith, the simplicity of their faith, and the purity of their hearts, the readiness of their conscience, and the way that their minds can be formed by Christ as they grow up and lead us as we lead them. God bless you.